We are back for the second part of our lesson on solving equations. And I just want to make it super clear that when we are entering our answers should look something like this. For the first problem, since we have a as the variable, gosh, I was like super tongue-tied there. Just couldn't even get the words out. Please forgive me. We have an a, so our answer should say a equals something. No spaces, nothing other than that. So it's something like a equals 4, okay, or a equals -4. No spaces in between, nothing like that. What is going on? That should be an eraser, not highlighting. Okay, now I just want to kind of review really quickly that we're going from single step equations now to multi-step equations, and I'm going to keep it really simple because a lot of teachers have a tendency to assume that kids really know what's going on and to assume that they all got it and that we can now just teach at a rapid pace. I think it's my priority that we go as slowly as possible at the beginning of the year to lay a proper and solid foundation with your just algebra and your basic math skills. Okay, with that proper foundation, later in the year when we get into more difficult concepts, you have the foundation there. You're not going to make the simple mistakes. You're going to know what to do. And I think that's why a lot of my classes do well compared to some of the other classes on campus, because I go a little slower and I don't assume that every kid knows everything. And we ramp up the pace later in the year when everyone's solid. But right now, like what's the need to rush? Okay. So we're going to go from single step to multi-step. Now let's take a peek at number 1. And what you're going to see here is we have our equal sign. That's like our imaginary wall. And remember that I said that we want our variables on one side and we want all our junk or everything else on the other side, primarily our numbers. Okay, now what you're going to see here is, remember earlier last week, whenever the week before, we did combining like terms. Okay, that's going to be something that you have to, a skill that you're going to utilize here, because you're saying, okay, we have A's and we have A's. We need to combine those like terms. We have 6 A's, positive 6 A's, and we have positive 5 A's. Well, 6 A's and 5 A's, like 6 apples, and 5 apples are 11 apples. Then we have our equal sign, and we have our -11. Now, this question right here looks exactly like what you saw on the last lesson. At this point, you can ask yourself, hey, what's being done to the variable? What's being done to A? Well, and then you answer it, and you say, because basically you're asking yourself a question, and then you're answering your own question. You're saying, what's being done to A? You're like, oh, A is being multiplied by 11. We do the opposite, which is divide by 11 and divide by 11. Okay, that cancels, and it looks like we have A equals -1. How about that? Okay, now moving on, let's come over to number 2. Let's take a peek at 2. Same concept. I have n's and I have n's. Okay, we're going to combine like terms. If you owe 6 n's and you owe 2 n's, whatever the n's are, you owe 8 n's, right? And then you just continue to write the equation like you have it, equals 16. Okay, this looks very familiar. You ask yourself, what's being done to the variable? What's being done to n? Then you answer it. N's being multiplied by -8. That's what's happening. When you have a -8n, that means -8 times n. So n is being multiplied by -8. We do the opposite and divide by -8. Got it? Cross that guy out, and we have n equals 16 divided by -8 is -2. Oh man, this looks a little tricky down here for number 3, and we're going to go real slow for 3. Okay, real slow for 3 because we have more going on here. This is kind of a 2-step equation. This one's a 3-step equation. First thing you need to do And we'll get there in the future. Is ask yourself, is there anything for me to distribute? No. Okay, the next thing you look for is combining like terms. Do I have any like terms that I can combine? And you say, oh yeah, I've got 6 and I've got 3. Let's rewrite this. This guy's coming straight down. 4x. What's 6 and 3? It's positive 9 equals 17. Okay, now this is tricky. Anything that is stuck to our variable, we deal with last. Okay, anything that is stuck to our variable, we deal with last. So you see how this 4 is stuck to the x? That comes last. Okay, so we're dealing with this positive 9 here. How do I get rid of a positive 9? I subtract 9. Okay, that's gone. And I have 4x equals, it looks like 8. And now you can deal with this guy. You say, okay, a lot of kids will divide 4 here and they're going to get jacked up. Okay, you always do that last. Whatever's stuck to the variable is our last step. What's being done to x? X is being multiplied by 4. We do the opposite and divide by 4. And we have x equals 8 divided by 4 is 2. Okay? Now we're going to go, we've got 10 problems we're working on today. 10. All right, let's see if you can do 4 on your own. Okay, and let's see if you can do 5 on your own. Go ahead and pause it. Do 4 and 5 to the best of your abilities. Then we'll come back and we'll go over them and see how you did. We're back. Ready to attack. Now, here's our imaginary wall. And you're asking yourself, okay, can I distribute anything? No. Next thing, combine like terms. Well, I've got n's here and I've got n's here. If I owe 5 n's and I owe 2 n's, then I owe 7 n's. We've got our equal sign here and we've got 0. Then you ask yourself, what's being done to n? N is being multiplied by negative 7. So we do the opposite and divide negative 7. 0 divided by anything is 0. That looks tacky, so we're going to flip them around to make it n equals 0. Sound good? Yes, sir. All right, down here on 5. This one could have given you a little bit of fits. A little bit of fits. Here's our imaginary wall. Let's look over here on the left. We're going to look to combine like terms. Well, I've got r's and I've got r's. I've got positive 6r and positive 6r. Well, that's positive 12r. Then you just drop this guy down because we can't do anything with them, so we just bring them down. And we write everything else how it is. Our next step is, remember, we can't touch anything that's stuck to the r until the very end. Can't touch it. So we want to get rid of this negative 1. We get rid of the negative 1 by adding 1. Okay, that's how we get rid of a negative 1. Okay, gone. And we have our 12r equals 11 plus 1 is 12. And now we can deal with that, right? You ask yourself, what's being done to r? R is being multiplied by 12. So we're going to do the opposite and divide by 12. Okay, and r equals, what's 12 divided by 12? 1. I love it. I love it. Okay, so hopefully that's clearing some things up for you. Hopefully it is. All right, next, 6 and 7 on your own. Do your best. Okay, you maybe look at your notes now from 5 and 6, or from 4 and 5. Maybe that's going to help you with 6 and 7. But 6 and 7, press pause, attack, then we'll come back and we'll go over them together. I'm going to get a sip of water just because my mouth is all jacked. I feel like I can't even talk this morning. I don't know what the deal is. Okay, let's look at 6. There's our wall. Let's combine like terms over here on the left. My like terms are r. Remember, this is a 1r. And 8r. Positive 1r, positive 8r is positive 9r. Drop this guy down. Plus 11 equals 29. Remember, we cannot touch that 9 that's stuck to the R until the very end. So we're going to deal with this positive 11. I can get rid of a positive 11 by subtracting 11. Gone, right? Drop this guy down. I have 9R equals 18. What's being done to R? I have a little voice crack right there. What the heck is going on? What's being done to R? R is being multiplied by 9, so we do the opposite and divide by 9. That's hilarious. I can't even believe my voice cracked. That's awesome. Equals 2. I got to get my teacher voice back. Man. Oh, I can't even believe it. But it is. Hey, at least you kids aren't here to laugh at me. If we were in class after the voice crack, you know kids will be laughing at that. And you know what? I'm really good at not being sensitive, so I'll just sit there and let you laugh at me, and I'd laugh at myself, and it'd be all great. Okay, now this is looking a little tricky here. 7. I'm even looking at it like, what the heck is going on here? Remember, don't freak out. Be confident, and you got to tell yourself, I got this. I got this, right? Now, let's try and combine like terms. I have a negative 14v and a positive 14v. Don't those guys just cancel out? And what does that leave over here? That leaves nothing. Well, how do we write nothing as a number? Okay, nothing as a number is 0. And we have our equals, and then we have negative 10. Okay, at this point, does negative 10 equal 0? No, that's a false statement. It's false. Anytime you have a false statement in math, you write no solution, because there actually is no solution to this equation. There's no solution that makes this equation work. Okay, none. If it said something like 3 equals 3, which is a true statement, you would say something like all real numbers, because any real number would make that equation true. Okay, that's just a little heads up. Okay, so what we're going to do now, and then we're going to wrap up. This was a lot of learning here, a lot of instruction. That's why I kind of had no Zoom call in the beginning. I'll explain here in a minute what we're going to do on the next day of class before our test, but go ahead and attack 8, 9, and 10 on your own. We'll come back, we'll do them together, and then we'll be done for the lesson. Okay, 8, 9, and 10, let's get it. Combine like terms, combine like terms. I think that leaves me with negative 1p equals 12. P is being multiplied by negative 1, so I'm going to do the opposite and divide by negative 1. It cancels that out in front, and I get p equals negative 12. Okay, let me slide down here. Let me come over here. Combine like terms, combine like terms. I'm going to leave my 42 on the left. I think I get 21m. Then you ask yourself, what's being done to m? M's being multiplied by 21. So we do the opposite and divide by 21. I think we get 2 equals m. We don't like how that looks, so we write it as m equals 2. Okay, and our last one, number 10, almost a voice crack there, goodness gracious. Okay, combine like terms. Negative 2 plus 3, I think it's positive 1. So we have a plus 1 equals negative 2. What's being done to a? Well, a is being added by 1, so we're going to do the opposite and subtract 1. That leaves me with just an a. Negative, if you owe 2 and you owe 1, then you owe 3. Okay? So that is that. And that's the most that we're going to learn before we have our test. When we come back for next class, we're going to meet as a Zoom. I'm going to take any questions. Then I'll probably do like a little short review lesson, a little short review video probably. And that's pretty much it. You'll take your test and we'll be done with our first unit here for the year. Proud of you kids. Super proud of you. And yeah, have a great day.